Hi, my name is Travis Whittick with Academy Endeavors, and we are here today to do a mock candidate fitness assessment with you and help you improve your score and ultimately get into the Academy. Candidate fitness assessment is an Academy admissions requirement. Without a passing score, you are physically disqualified from attending a Service Academy. And so today, we want to walk you through the common pitfalls that we see a lot of Service Academy applicants make in order to avoid those and ultimately maximize your chances of getting your dream, which is a coveted Academy appointment. The number one commonality that we see between all candidates that can maximize their CFA score is that they take multiple mock fitness assessments. Just remember this, the number one way to improve your score is to do mocks. Without it, your confidence is baseless. We also see a lot of young people who are athletes and they think they're going to do really well, but then when they come out and do the actual test, they're surprised that they might fail an event or two. If you fail one event of the 6, you failed the whole thing. You must pass all 6 events in order to pass the candidate fitness assessment. The 6 events of the candidate fitness assessment are: first, the basketball throw; second, pull-ups; third, shuttle run; fourth, push-ups; fifth, sit-ups; and sixth, a 1-mile run. So what we want to encourage you to do is come out here to a track, do your 6 events, find out where you're at. That's the first step. You want to identify your strengths and your weaknesses in each event so you can improve upon them. It's very important that when you do a mock CFA that you practice like it's the game. And the Service Academies require that you do all 6 events in order and that you have a limited amount of rest in between. Look at your candidate fitness assessment instructions for details on those rest limits. So when you do the mock, make sure you adhere to the rest limits because that's how realistically you will do on the actual test. When you're planning out where to practice your candidate fitness assessment, first it's important that you find a location where you can do the whole 6 events in succession at. First, you're going to need a track to do your mile run. Second, you're going to need a pull-up bar within walking distance so you can do your pull-ups without breaking your required rest limits. And third, you're going to need a basketball in order to do the basketball throw. Optional materials to practice your CFA effectively could be: first, a tape measure to measure out your shuttle run; second, a yoga mat for your sit-ups; and then last would be a stopwatch to measure your splits as you're running on the mile run. Now that you have your location and you're ready to go, let's get started. The basketball throw is one of the most unorthodox events of this entire 6-event test. This might be the only time you ever do a basketball throw in your life. Let's make it the best it can be. First, we have to talk about is your grip. You want to have a basketball that has good grip. If you guys are not indoors, you should be bringing a towel with you, okay? Remember what I said, grip is very important in this. So I'm gonna be cleaning off the basketball, making sure my attempt 2 is even better than the first one. Second, there are 2 ways to grip the basketball. First way is you can actually curl your wrist like this and throw it more from down here from your hips. The second way is to throw it more like a baseball. You can come from over the top, all right? But if you don't hear anything else today, hear this. You throw with your hips, not with your arm.
Your hips actually will create the torque that will propel the basketball forward more than your arms could ever throw it.
So whether you're coming down here with it, like this, or whether you're coming up here with it, see, it slipped out of my hand. Whether you're coming up here with it like that, you want to make sure you get as much torque in your hips as possible and even use your shoulder to help give you as much momentum as you can possibly have. The rules are that you have to stay behind the line, and if you fall forward, that's a fault and you have to do it over again. Now in the real event, you get to attempt it 3 times and you get to choose your best one. The key is create as much torque without propelling yourself over the line and eventually having to touch the ground, okay? So as much momentum as possible without that. Here's another thing that most people don't know, is that not only is it your hips, and not only is it your shoulders, but you actually create torque from the ground up. What do I mean by that? You can curl your toes underneath you to give you a little bit more push. So I'm actually pushing right now, not even with my hips, I'm just able to push using my toes. So I got my toes locked in back here, then I have my hips ready to go and I have my shoulder, and now when I throw, I'm gonna throw 10, 15, 20 feet more than I would if I just went like this. When it's only in the throwing shoulder, this is what it looks like. Not that good. Now let's see what happens when we do everything we just learned. When we throw the basketball from the bottom up, from our toes to our hips to our non-throwing shoulder and our throwing shoulder, and this is what happens. You see the difference? Much better.
By following those steps, you should be much more confident that your basketball throw is actually maximizing the best that you can do, which is your goal in this event.
The second event of the candidate fitness assessment is the pull-ups, all right? The pull-ups are not my strongest event, okay? So the two things that I've had to work on that I want you to work on leading up to the candidate fitness assessment is first, increase accessibility to the event. What do I mean by that? There are not many pull-up bars around, whereas you can do sit-ups and push-ups everywhere you go, you can run anywhere you go. You can't just do a pull-up unless you have a pull-up bar. So the solution to this is to buy a pull-up bar online that you can put in your door frame and do at home. I have mine in my door frame. That's how I've been able to increase the amount of times I'm practicing the pull-up routine. The second thing I want you to focus on with the pull-ups is improving your core strength. Now, most people think when they approach the pull-ups that they might not be good at pull-ups because their arm strength isn't good enough. And while that may be partially true, what most people neglect is that core strength is actually what supplements your arm strength. So let me give you an example. When I was a football player in high school, although I had lots of muscle mass and my arms were stronger than they'd ever been, I could only do 7 pull-ups. But when I bought a pull-up bar, brought it home with me, practiced, improved my core strength and my overall fitness, my pull-ups went up to 18 and now I can max the CFA. So what does that mean for you? Buy that pull-up bar and work on your core strength, and as your core strength goes up, your pull-ups will improve as well. If you are female and you cannot do a pull-up, you are authorized to do a flexed arm hang. The max for that is 40 seconds. Keep in mind, 1 pull-up is more points on the CFA than 40 seconds of a flexed arm hang. So if you can do 1 pull-up, you'd be better off doing 1 rather than the flexed hang alternative. Okay, now we're gonna expert demonstrate how to do a pull-up. Most of you know how to do one, but the keys to making sure you do an authorized pull-up are 1, make sure your arms are extended all the way when you go down. 2, make sure you are not kicking your legs at all. And 3, make sure your chin is well above the bar. Now, even though the minimum we estimate might be 5 pull-ups, passing is not good enough. You want to get the best score you can. In order to be competitive, you want to submit the highest CFA score possible. So for a flexed arm hang, you're gonna keep the bar underneath your chin, like this, and keep your legs still, okay? And if you can do that for 40 seconds, then you've maxed the flexed arm hang. Keep in mind, it's still not as many points as doing 1 pull-up. So if you do 1 pull-up, that's more advantageous. Now that we're done with pull-ups, the next event is gonna be the 40-yard shuttle run. Let's go. So we've already measured out 10 yards, and we're gonna go there to the white line, and we're gonna come back. We're gonna go there again and come back, touching each time, all right? Now, if you want to do a really bad shuttle run, which obviously you don't, but let me show you the common pitfalls. First, this is a short sprint each time. So the more you stand up upright, the more your momentum is gonna stop. You do not wanna run this tall. You wanna run this and stay low through the turns. Touching the ground all the way and coming out of the turns, stay low. Second, you wanna be wearing good shoes. 1 slip could cost you half of a second, if not a full second, which is a long time in a 40-yard shuttle run, okay? So you wanna be wearing shoes with good grip, all right? So first, stay low in and out of the turns. Second, wear good shoes. And third, limiting the amount of steps you take. When you're going in and out of the turn, if you take too many steps and you overstep the line, you're not running a 40-yard shuttle run anymore. Now you're running a 41 or 42-yard shuttle run, which is gonna hurt your time. So here's what it looks like when you do a good shuttle run. You start out low, as low as you can possibly be with your shoulders down. When I touch the other side, I don't want to be overstepping, because now I'm going 41, 42, 43 yards, right? I want to be like this and still touching, so I'm in compliance with what the academies require. However, I'm not going more distance than I have to. And then I'm going to come and keep my shoulders low and touch again here. All right? Limiting my steps and limiting my distance and having good turns. That's what helps you maximize your shuttle run score. Here's in contrast what it looks like to do a bad shuttle run, or one where you're not maximizing your chances of success, are standing straight up at the start. Standing straight up at the start, coming down here, overstepping the line, maybe not running in a straight line, overstepping the line, going back and doing the same thing. The higher up you are, the more you slip, the more you go a diagonal, the more you overstep the line, the worse your score is. Okay, so now we're going to time it with me trying to do those things and see what the difference is. Go. The fourth event in the candidate fitness assessment is push-ups. Now the beautiful thing about push-ups is you can practice them anywhere, wherever, as long as there's a floor, you can practice. And consistency is key with push-ups. You can do push-ups every single day, and I see drastic gains from Academy Endeavors clients in push-ups. It might be the easiest one to improve upon. With push-ups, when you get down in a push-up position, make sure that your width of your hands is not too narrow or too wide. If they're too narrow, you're going to be overusing your triceps, and if it's too wide, you're overusing your chest. So you want them in a comfortable position about shoulder width, and then remember that especially if you're applying to West Point, they require push-up videos that they will record. So you need a video. So you want to make sure either way, whether you're any service academy, that you're going down all the way and all the way up. All the way down and all the way up, okay? That's an important feature to make sure all your push-ups are accepted and that you're not wasting any effort. Make sure your friend or parent understands the correct form, because if you do the initial mock and you're like, yay, I got 55 push-ups, but then when you do the real one and you have to do it the correct way with an approved administrator, either a military officer, a PE teacher, or a coach who's administering the fitness test, and they require you to go all the way up and all the way down, and all of a sudden you can only do 30 instead of 55, you're in big trouble. So make sure you're practicing them the correct way. And probably the #1 cause for having incorrect form is going too fast. Okay? So let's demonstrate how you can still go quickly and with purpose, but it's not going to be too fast. All right? So here we go. Now I'm going to show you what happens when you go too fast or you do bad form and they don't count. And when they don't count, then you waste energy and your score goes down. So same thing, but you're moving fast. You're not going up all the way and locking your arms, and you're not going down all the way. And that's going to cost you. If your administrator's not counting those, you're wasting effort, which is going to lead to a lower push-up score. Similar to push-ups, the beautiful thing about sit-ups is you can do them anywhere. Anywhere where there's a floor, you can lay down and do sit-ups. The problem is that a lot of young people that are practicing their sit-ups are doing crunches rather than military sit-ups. And there's a difference. So with crunches, your legs are up and you're crunching up and you're utilizing your upper abdomen muscles. Whereas with a military sit-up, you're going to have somebody holding your feet, okay, so your feet are stable and you're gonna be coming up. Now obviously your feet are gonna be stable there. You're gonna be coming up and your elbows are gonna be touching your thighs, utilizing your entire abdomen, both upper and lower, as well as your hip flexors, your upper thighs. Okay, so it's important to practice them the right way. Now, if you don't have a parent or friend to hold your sit-ups every time you want to do sit-ups, which is obviously unreasonable to expect, then you want to find a sofa or something where you can slide your feet underneath, keep them stable, and do them at home. The ones who win, the ones who get their goal, the ones who maximize their CFA potential are the ones who are doing sit-ups every single day. One best practice for sit-ups, similar to push-ups, is to do them right before bed. So after school, you might actually have sports practice or lifting, and that might require you to do something other than CFA prep. But right before bed, you can do push-ups, you can do sit-ups, anywhere you are, even if you're in a hotel, and you can be inching towards your goal each step of the way. Common problems that we see with sit-ups are, first, they require you to do approximately a 90-degree angle, forming a 90-degree angle with your legs. Now, if your legs are too far like this or too much like this, it's going to affect your score. So you want to be as much to 90 degrees as possible. Because if your legs are like this, stretched out, not only is it not an acceptable sit-up, but it's also exerting more of your lower abdomen. Whereas if you're like this, it's exerting more of your upper abdomen. You don't want to have either. You want to be able to use a nice balance in both your upper and lower abdomen, thus having a 90-degree angle. The second problem to avoid with sit-ups is that some people go too fast and thus they actually don't go up all the way. Your elbow should hit the midpoint of your leg or higher. And if you're going too fast and you're not hitting that, it could not count, and if the administrator isn't counting it, you're wasting energy. And the third mistake that we see young people make with sit-ups on the CFA is not going down all the way. So they require your shoulder blades to touch the ground. It could once again cost you sit-ups, thus wasting energy. So you want to be going down all the way, touching your shoulder blades, and going up all the way, making sure that your elbows are touching the midpoint of your thigh or higher. The last event on the candidate fitness assessment is the 1 mile run. And for most people, it's usually the most challenging. It's going to require the most amount of physical exertion and probably the most amount of mental toughness. Unless you're a cross-country runner, this is probably not your sweet spot. The goal of the mock CFA is not necessarily to improve. The goal of the mock CFA is to try to find out where you're at on each event. And this is no different. So remove the anxiety and just go run the 4 laps at a track and find out where you're at. That's the first step. The way to get better in between your mock CFAs, it's actually not running long distances. Because when you run long distances, talking more than a mile run to build up your stamina, what you're doing is you're building your slow twitch muscles. And you're training your muscles to run slow for a long period of time. But think of the 1 mile run as you're running about 95% for 4 laps. You're almost at a sprint. And so you're gonna have to build up your stamina while you build up your fast twitch muscles, not your slow twitch muscles. And the way to do that, the way to train in order to win on the CFA for the mile run is through sprints. You gotta build your fast twitch, which is through sprints. You gotta build your stamina through taking short intervals in between multiple sprints. Okay, so I'm gonna introduce a word to you. It's called sprint intervals. It means when you go to the track and you run a 200-meter sprint, or you run a 300-meter or 400-meter sprint, you time yourself and you have a 1 minute or 2 minute rest period before you go out and do it again. Okay? So in our Academy Endeavors workout plan, our clients do 3 reps of 800 meters. They go to the track, run 800 meters, which is 2 laps, rest for 2 minutes, and then run another 800 meters, rest for 2 minutes, and then run another 800 meters. What you're doing is you're building your fast twitch muscles while you're building your stamina. That's the key to success on the mile run. That's what took me as a 38-year-old, not a runner, from getting a 7 flat mile to getting down to a 5 minute and 45 mile by doing the Academy Endeavors workout plan with our clients, okay? And we've seen significant gains from our other clients as well throughout the country. So sprint intervals is the key. Now what we're gonna do today is we're gonna find out where I'm at, old 38-year-old man that's graduated from the Academy 20 years ago, okay? And that's what I'm gonna do because I haven't run a mile timed in a while, all right? But that's our advice to get better on the mile run, is sprint intervals. The other key to succeeding in the mile is when you actually go out and get tested, bring a few friends with you, okay? In the instructions, they're not allowed to pace you. If they were, that would be a significant advantage. However, what you can do is have them at each corner cheering you on. When you're running by yourself, it's a mental game. When you're running by yourself, you're telling yourself, I'm tired, I'm tired, I'm tired, I wanna stop, I wanna stop, I wanna stop. Instead of telling yourself, I gotta get to the next friend, I got to get to the next friend, I got to get to the next milestone and the next milestone. And pretty soon, you'll be done. It's an exercise in mental toughness. So get to the next milestone, bring people with you to encourage you. And the third key to improving your mile run is knowing your split times. So let me explain what split times are. You're gonna be going around this track 4 times. And so splits are at every single mile marker, you need to know if you're on track or you're behind, all right? So if your goal is a 6-minute mile run, then your split times are 1.5 minutes, 3 minutes, and 4.5 minutes, and then 6. If you are at 4:45 by the 3rd lap, you're losing. You're probably not gonna make that up. So the point is to give yourself feedback at each mile split, knowing if you're on track or not, knowing if you're coming out of the gates too slow or too fast. This is huge. And I'll tell you, the #1 problem that we see with splits is a lot of young people get excited and they start their mile super fast. And the first half of the first lap, they're running like a crazy person. But by the time they run 1 lap, they're huffing and puffing and they got 3 more laps to go. And the mental energy, it starts becoming fatalistic at that point and they get really negative on themselves. The key instead is to stay consistent through each lap that you're in to make sure you're hitting your times and you're on track. The only way to do that is by, 1, wearing a watch. You can wear a watch and look at your times yourself. But even more important, because you have so much to focus on and so much to think through, is to bring somebody else with you and at the mile marker, be hollering out whether you're on track or not. One bonus tip, if you are like me and you like listening to music while you run, you're allowed to wear headphones during the CFA mile run. So crank up the music as loud as you want so that you can improve the positive self-talk and high energy throughout the mile run. Now we did this whole video to help you maximize your chances of getting into the Academy by maximizing your CFA score. Now why is that important when all you need to do is pass? Well, because West Point and Naval Academy have come out and said that the score is actually part of their quantified score that the admissions board look at. In their formula, they quantify everything you do, your resume, your academics, your SAT score, put it all into one formula and they give you a certain selection composite score, and that score is looked at by every admissions board member. And the CFA is part of that. All right, so you want to do as good as you possibly can to give yourself the best advantage of getting your dream. All right, another thing we wanted to mention is that we have a gift for you, for those that watch this video. And it's a free giveaway from us, and it's our Academy Endeavors workout plan. If you click on the link in the description of this video, you can download that for free. Okay, and we give you our 7 steps to success, we give you our the grid that we use for all of our clients, and we give you a workout plan that you can follow for each of the events to maximize your score. So thank you for watching this video and good luck on your Academy application.